So we're in my very messy garage. We have a bit of a problem with the plastics on the old Goldwing. That's the rear box. It's upside down. You can see the little mounting point there. Well, on this side, it's just breaking out in all kinds of different directions. You see there's a crack that comes all the way down the side here. Another crack that comes down here. And the whole upper surface is just destroyed. This is not solid in there. The only thing keeping this together is that there's a metal plate on the back that goes with the hinges. So we've already started cleaning it up a little bit. I'll bring you along on the ride. We'll see how we can get this fixed. So the tools we'll be using today to get started, my nice Chicago electric Dremel tool, little cheap one. I did, however, buy the good Dremel brushes and a little flap wheel. But the reason I got the actual Dremel brand is I've noticed that the cheap ones, you turn them on and immediately all those little tiny shards of metal start flying all directions. They do not make them well and they do not stay put. So you pretty much, as soon as you turn them on, if you've got it on a high setting where they're spinning around pretty decent, that you're going to have a very bald brush very quickly. So I tend to buy the good brushes, but I'll buy the cheap tools because I'm just going to burn them up, burn them out, and kill them anyway. I'm going to give this little flap wheel a try first. And I do have my safety glasses on, mandatory, especially when you've got parts that are going to be flying. I'm going to do a lower setting. This one does have an adjustable RPM range. I'm going to start out on 3. See what I can do. We're getting close. The point of this is not to take off any material, really, just to get the paint off. I decided to come out, man, I might even come up onto here, like that little angle right there. I've decided to cover this entire corner because this is cracking right down into there, and I can see this being another weak point. So I don't want it to crack here and come back down this direction. So I came all the way down and all the way across and all the way up. We're going to cut a piece of bug wire, basically bug screen, that's going to fit this area. I do have some pieces that fit in here that were inside the box when I picked it up. And so I'm going to use all of the pieces that I can find that actually fit in here, because that's going to give me that much less that I have to just fill by hand and shape by hand. At least I'll have some of the shape of the parts that are going into it. So I'm going to finish this up, and I'll bring you back when I get it cleaned up. I just got the last little bits of that with the nice little cut brush. So now that we've got this cleaned up, I can show you why we're going to do this the way we're going to do it. We're going to put a piece of stainless bug net all the way around there. It's going to wrap up onto this side here, and the whole thing is going to get covered. We're going to shape it so that it matches these contours. This is going to be the outside. Typically you would do the bug net on the inside and then fill from the outside. But unfortunately, we have a situation with this. Take you off of here so you can see what we're doing. We have a metal bracket that's part of the reinforcement for the hinge. So I wouldn't be able to get, you can see the inside of that crack right down in that corner. I wouldn't be able to get the bug net embedded all the way through the entire thing. So yeah, it's going to be somewhat visible. It's going to be on the outside of the box, but this is the bottom. You can see the backrest. Whole thing's upside down. So that's going to sit on the bottom underneath of everything. You'll probably see that front little corner right there. But I have some matched paint, so we'll see how clean we can get it. See how good we can make it look. So I told a wee bit of a fib. I thought what I had was stainless steel bug screen. Turns out this is aluminum. Doesn't really matter. Any metal screen, as long as it's not the plastic screen, any metal screen will work. And the aluminum is actually easier to cut and easier to mold. So I'm just going to take a piece here. I don't want to unravel this entirely because I'll never get it back in the package. I'm just going to try. No, I'll probably never get it back in the package anyway. Makes it easier because you can cut the aluminum just an old pair of scissors. Cuts pretty easy. Just an old pair of scissors. I think these are kitchen scissors. They're slightly more heavy duty than your typical ones. Doesn't have to be pretty. We'll trim it up when we get closer. So, that's what I need. Right there. So, as you can see, that's go this way. That gives us plenty. So realistically, just pick a corner. Pick a corner. I'm going to start down here. Stay just inside where you've cleaned it. I like this too because this is the finished edge. It's a little stronger, doesn't unravel. I'm going to put that out here. So all you're trying to do is trim it so that just slightly smaller than the area you cleaned off. So what you don't want is to have way too much. So now that I've kind of got it roughly the shape, see it fits in there. roughly the shape. I'm going to go ahead and take this whole thing and trim, oh, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch off the entire outside edge. That's my little trimmed corner. So like I said, I kind of want to keep this finished edge down here on the bottom. This one here, it's a finished edge. And you can see it's a little thicker. It's going to be a little more difficult to cover up in the plastic, but that's okay. So now I've got my piece. Yeah, I like that. That's good enough. You see, it kind of holds its shape too. You can see it just kind of stayed three-dimensional, somewhat to the shape of what you're doing. So I've started stitching back in these pieces that were broken out. You can see kind of my technique. I just stitch around the edge, the two pieces, where the two pieces meet. And then you can see on this one right here, I came back across. And I'll eventually do that on all of these edges. But mostly I'm just getting to the point where I'll be able to use the bug screen to reinforce what's already there and not have to completely rebuild the entire thickness of the plastic for the entire missing area. I'll get set up and I'll show you kind of how I go about this. Okay, so I do have a pretty nice temperature controlled soldering iron. Right now I've got it set for about 475 degrees. I'll try to keep this in shot. I'm just using my hand on the back side, you can see through there, to make sure it doesn't move. You're going to ruin your tips, so don't use a soldering iron if it's the only one you have, or if you need that tip. This is the big tip that I don't typically use, but I can get new tips for this anyway if I need to. So technique is you just come in and right across the seam, and sometimes I like to come in at a kind of catty corner like that. Just kind of stitches them together. And I'll come across here. And see here, there's a little bit of a void. So I'll kind of just work that in. I can fill that void later. I just want these to be together as much as possible. I'll come back across this, kind of smooth it off, and blend those two pieces of plastic together. Well, that's a basic technique. If you get a little high spot, you can always just melt that back. And there's a crack all the way along here, and I'll just keep going. So I'll just keep going on this. I want to get this, since how this is kind of coming apart, I'll pull that together and then do a couple of stitches while I'm holding it. And then hold it there until it gets cooled. And that will hold that tight. I will work on this and I'll bring you back when I'm getting ready to fill in these voids.